Makers Row Live. I'm Shatara, the marketing manager at Makers Row, where we are focused on making manufacturing in America more accessible and empowering entrepreneurs to bring back Made in America. So every week, every Thursday, we sit down with business leaders and entrepreneurs and talk about starting and scaling your business. And today we have a very, very special episode. We are live at Kickstarter. You guys can probably tell our background's a little bit different today. I'm here with Zach and Carol. So thank you so much, guys, for inviting us into your space.
You're welcome.
If we could I just want you guys to introduce yourself. What are your roles here at Kickstarter? How long have you guys been here?
Sure, I'll start. I'm Carol. I'm on Kickstarter's community education team. And basically I create resources to help creators run awesome, successful projects, fingers crossed. And I've been with the company for a little over 3 years. I help out with our Q&A space campus. I help run our Kickstarter tips Twitter channel. And I get to collaborate a lot with Zach and learn about design and technology.
My name is Zach Dunham. I am Kickstarter's design and technology outreach lead, which means that I split my time basically being out in the world, going to events, hosting meetups, and then the rest of the time helping creators think about how to prepare for launch and advocating for them here internally. So I also, as Carol said, collaborate on creating educational resources for how to specifically run a design and technology project on the site. We wear a lot of hats, I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a wealth of knowledge. How long have you been at Kickstarter?
I've been here for 2 years.
Awesome. All right, so just getting started, how would you describe Kickstarter? What is Kickstarter?
Kickstarter is a place for bringing creative ideas to life. There are 15 incredibly diverse categories represented on the site. So on any given day, you can see everything from enamel cat pins to Pebble. So it's the full spectrum of creative things being made. And behind that is a community of incredible people with these ideas and backers that are supporting them.
I think that our mission is super clear, or very simple and succinct, and at the same time, as Carol said, we define creativity in such a broad sense that it creates a really exciting place to go and interact with these projects as a backer.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen a lot of our businesses and brands that use Makers Row for manufacturing in America have had successful Kickstarter stories.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jake on there, and he was one of the highest apparel for the 10-year hoodie, and things like that. So we definitely want to include you guys in the conversation. If you guys have any questions for them on the topics of crowdfunding, Kickstarter, be sure to leave your comments in the your questions in the comment sections, and we'll definitely try to answer those questions for you. But just over the last few years in working at Kickstarter, what are some of the trends in businesses? I think what it could be kind of exciting is that you guys kind of get to see the businesses before they launch, right? They're in their funding. What are some of the trends that you guys have seen at Kickstarter?
Yeah, I think we were chatting about this before. It's an interesting one because Kickstarter is a place for people who for independent creators to bring these projects to life. So a lot of the time we see projects that they're weird, they're quirky, they're small runs of a thing. It's very sort of iconic, individualized things. And so they're often kind of at the bleeding edge of their category, whether it's in games or design and technology. I specifically work in the design and tech categories, and last year, for example, Time magazine ran a piece of the 25 most innovative pieces of products that were launched last year, and 5 of them were Kickstarter projects. So it's not uncommon that the projects on the site are setting trends in those categories. But I think that your question about what's it like to see these projects in their very nascent stages before they become these companies. Someone on my team said once that I thought was really super awesome and very one of the most exciting things about working here is that we're not interacting with marketing rep for a company or someone who's like far away from the very nuts and bolts creation of a project. We're so often working with the founder of a company or, you know, the designer of a specific clothing line. And so that's like a real privilege, I would say, for us to be able to have that kind of interaction and collaboration with people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like one thing at Makers Row, I really enjoy the blog that we have because I get to talk to the entrepreneurs and you kind of get to hear their success story and like what they've overcame and how you like are essential in their like journey to starting their own businesses, quitting their jobs, and really kind of having that American dream.
Yeah. It's a fearful leap usually for people to make that plunge.
And for us, inspiring.
Yeah, definitely. And what are some of the things that you guys enjoy about working at Kickstarter?
There's so much. We're an office of around 120 people. We're all mostly based here in Brooklyn with a few people in Europe and on the West Coast, which is fun. But I mean, I think the staff, for one, is incredible. Just people like Zach who teach me things about design and tech that I never really knew about before working here. There's just a wealth of knowledge, which you kind of mentioned earlier. And it's cool because people that work here launch their own projects on Kickstarter and we all rally to support them. So it's great to see people not only supporting and believing in Kickstarter as a tool for others, but to see them using it themselves for their own dreams and ambitions. Aside from that, we became a PBC last year, a public benefit corporation, and I think that just means that we wear our values on our sleeve, and they'll always be a part of what we do and what our business is, and that's helping people make cool things.
So that basically, just because it's like a PBC is a really new thing, and not a lot of people know what it is, but it's essentially we have a company charter that guides for most, if not all, of the decisions that we make here as a company. So instead of having sort of very financially driven goals, we have a charter that says that we have to give X percentages to supporting creative initiatives and education. That we have to be diverse and inclusion in our focus of communities that we want to be supporting. So it's awesome. And I would say the other thing that really is amazing about working here is that it's a staff of creatives. Like the people that run the film category are screenwriters and filmmakers. The people that run the publishing category, they're writers, they're authors, they have published books. Same goes for the games category, design and technology, arts. So it's really we're here to help support these communities and also be part of them ourselves. So I think that's it makes it for a super exciting place to spend our days.
Yeah, it sounds like creators helping other creators create, like,
it's the best thing, right?
Yeah. But what are so if I have this dream of making something, who is Kickstarter for? Is there a limit to like the kind of project, the kind of product that you can make on Kickstarter?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, it's for everyone. It's for anyone who has a creative idea that's ready to share that process with their community. As long as you're making something within one of those 15 categories and you have a specific goal to make something that can be shared with others, you're pretty much good.
Yeah. I mean, the way that we like to talk about it is there should be some sort of finite point at which you're able to say, okay, I'm done, here's my thing, whether it's a concert, a CD, a book, a game, a new piece of clothing, and be able to share that back with the backers that are supporting the project.
Awesome. So in order to get started on Kickstarter, do we have any questions?
Yeah.
We do? Okay. Well, we'll take a few questions first, and then I'll ask mine.
Roots and Fruits on YouTube asked, what are the best rewards to give backers?
Oh, great question. So one of the most popular pledge amounts is $25. So we always recommend offering something cool around that level. And you always want to offer the thing that you're making. So like Zach was saying, if you're producing a film, make sure that people have ways to access that, whether it's a digital download or a DVD or an invitation to the screening. You just want to think about unique ways that people can get involved online, in person, get creative, make things that you're going to have fun making that people can't get anywhere else, and that they're going to be excited to have.
Yeah.
So one thing I would want to kind of cover, because you said backer, so we're using like
Yes.
Kickstarter lingo now. Can you just kind of give us an overview of like how does Kickstarter work? So I have my idea and I'm ready to like raise money. What do I do now?
That's in your space. You
Sure.
take it.
So you're ready. You've got your idea spec'd out. You'll come to Kickstarter.com and you'll start building your project page. And basically, this is where you're creating your pitch. It's your one page to get people excited about what you're doing. I actually spoke to a creator recently who described it as the new portfolio, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
You want it to be an exciting representation of your work. So don't think of it as like this static commercial. Think of it as an evolution of your project. It's funny because, yes, Kickstarter does require some planning, but if you think about it in the huge scope of running your project, which doesn't end when your campaign does, it's just another part of your story, right? So also when you're creating this page, you want to think about ways to convey that and get people involved. So whether that's sharing or backing the campaign, and backers are the people who financially but also emotionally are supporting your idea.
Right. Whether that's for $1 or $100 or $10,000, these are people that are with you because they want to have some access into the creative process, and in exchange for that support and that access, you're also giving them a reward, a token, the thing, whether it's a t-shirt, book.
Cool. And I know.
Oh, and one more thing that's super important about Kickstarter is that we are an all or nothing platform.
Yes.
So, as Carl said, you're going through this process of setting up your campaign page. Then two really crucial things are you're setting a launch date and an end date for that campaign, and then a fixed funding goal. So we believe really strongly in this fixed funding goal idea, because if you say, I'm producing this new clothing line, and I've been on Maker's Row, I've talked with my factories, and I've gotten my quote, and it looks like for 100 units, my operating costs for this whole thing are going to be $25,000. If you can't get that $25,000, then it's going to be really difficult for you to produce that line. So that's why we believe pretty strongly in this all or nothing funding goal. Also, it's really exciting too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so we have a lot of questions.
Okay. Stop. Jump to the next one.
Devonna Stewart via email asked, when trying to get funding for an apparel brand, is it necessary to have samples already completed to show potential contributors? Any alternatives if you don't quite have the funding for samples yet?
Yep. Do you want to speak to this? Or?
Sure. Yeah. I would. So, I think that one thing that sets projects on Kickstarter, one specific rule to keep in mind for projects that are going to be manufacturing something is that you want to be able to show a prototype of what you're making. This is a specific rule that we have for the design and technology categories. Aside from it just being a good rule within fashion, I think that anytime you're trying to get support for a project, you want to be able to showcase that project in its best light. You want to be able to showcase that new design line, in the best way possible. So I think having samples is really important, and I would say that obviously if it's completely cost prohibitive and you can't launch the project, then you have to come up with some sort of creative workaround. But if at all possible, you want to be launching with a clear sample to show.
And wouldn't you say like having the actual thing to be able to show in its function, it's going to be part of a successful campaign, right?
Oh, totally. The more you can help backers envision how they'll interact with the thing in their own lives, the better, the more relatable your campaign. And in addition to sharing that, share sketches, from your notebooks, share fabric swatches, everything to kind of show all of the points of making the thing will be helpful.
Yeah. And Trent Wall on YouTube asks, what % of people click on a Kickstarter and then don't contribute? How do we increase the % of people and overcome reluctance of people that might not want to get into the risk of a new product?
I don't know the exact percentage, but I think To get people to pledge, again, you need a compelling page. It needs to be personal, it needs to be thorough, and you need to get people hooked on your excitement for what you're making.
Yeah. This is something that we help actually, that comes up time and time again with people that are crafting a campaign video, which is, arguably one of the most important. I think your title of your project, the project image, the blurb, and the video, these are sort of the crucial media that you really want to nail when you're launching a campaign. And with the video specifically, people often make the mistake in sort of having this beautiful story that kind of sets up the project that lasts, more than 30 seconds. And then somewhere in there they say, and I'm making this, this is what I'm making. At that point, people have sort of passed on the project. So really make sure that in that video, in the first, well within the first 30 seconds, you're saying clearly what you're working on, and that should help with that, with that conversion. Yeah.
What are some tips? Well, I would say in preparing for a Kickstarter campaign, what would be what's been the most successful time frames? I guess how much time should you prepare for the most successful one?
I think the amount of time you need to prepare depends on where you're at with your project. We've seen lots of creators who are great at documentation and have been taking photos of their thing for years. So they've got tons of material ready to put in their video or in their project page. Other creators kind of have to start from the beginning with that. And a lot of them work collaboratively with teammates to kind of get those assets together. I actually made a video about making videos.
Just link.
Yeah, I'll share that. Just to explain to people that A, you should have a video, but B, it doesn't have to be super polished looking. You can put this together with your team at home with simple equipment that you probably already have. So I don't think there's a standard time frame, but we've built a solid checklist, which we can also share, of things that you should consider before launching. And again, even that's not an end-all be-all. You have to look through that and see what applies to your project and what's going to help you build a successful campaign.
Yeah, I've seen creators that I've worked closely with, and again, this, like Carol said, this really relates to what your goal is with the project. So if your goal is to, I need to produce thousands of a thing, and I'm really looking for thousands of backers for this project, obviously that's going to require a lot more legwork and a lot more audience development, community outreach as a creator, to be building a mailing list. And so that often can take, many months of doing that legwork. But just with the sheer production of putting up a campaign page, producing a video, doing photography, documentation, editing your copy, that can take a couple months. I think more often than not, people that are really trying to be meticulous about it, and again, not everybody has to do it this way, but that's not uncommon that it takes people a couple months to go through that.
Yeah, so it's so important that you are able to definitely define a goal and know that your goal,
Yeah.
goals vary.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and financial and what your goal is just in general. I'm doing this project to learn about the process of making a clothing line, or I'm doing this project to actually start a business. They're different goals with different timelines.
Also, I just want to repeat audience development, because that is so important, and we talk to every creator about audience development, and what we mean by that is knowing who the people you're going to contact are when your campaign launches, and ahead of time, what you're going to message them with, whether it's social media copy or emails or advertisements. And yes, just having a promotion strategy that you can stick to before your campaign starts and once it's live.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we have a question via email from, I'm going to mispronounce this, Fallon or Phelan Smith. Oh, Fallon, I'm guessing. We are 81% funded on our campaign with just 11 days to go. What else can we do to reach our goal?
I would, without knowing anything about the project, usually there's some, the way that most campaigns start out is to friends and family audience. You're building friends and family to growing your network, and as Carol's saying, you have some sort of list, email list that of subscribers that you've initially pinged. Usually in the last halfway through the campaign to the end of the campaign, it's a good idea to just kind of loop back with that list. Some people are slow to respond on email, they may have missed the first one, but just send them a kind note again. don't spam anybody. I'm just saying, like, these are people that have said that they're curious about knowing about your project, so I would definitely loop back with that list. The other thing to do is, like, you know, always be looking for influencers in your community that can help spread the word about your project. So look for people with like-minded, you know, goals and styles, you know, missions, followings that you can kind of tap into. Anything else? You think a lot about this.
I do. You can even start in the comments section of your own project. Like, who are the people who have said nice things and that you think will say nice things on their own email list or their own social media channels. Post an update, encouraging people to share. Remind them that this is all or nothing and that you still have some way to go and you need their help to get there. Anything that you can do to get more people other than yourself talking about the project will definitely help.
Yeah, and I would say with that last one, it's always giving backers something to talk to their friends about. So when you're posting an update, like, that update shouldn't just be about, hey everyone, you know, go holler at your friend and tell them to back my project. It's like, share something interesting that person would actually want to go and say, hey, this person's doing something really cool. Have you seen this video that they just posted? It's all about their process. And by the way, their campaign is live and you can back it now. So really arm them with, like, a fodder to be outspoken about your project.
Yeah, there's such an emphasis, it sounds like, on, like, the story and the brand, and not just like we're selling your product so you can start a business, right? It's really about the support.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Kickstarter's for.
Yeah.
You have another question?
Yeah, so Cassandra Zimmerman asked, we are getting our first product run now and are pretty much in the R&D phase, and we are considering Kickstarter for our second run. Is that okay?
For the second run? Yeah, totally. If it is something that's distinct from the first project, I think one thing that we ask is that, you know, Kickstarter is a place to share, to bring new ideas to life. And so if you have something that's already on sale and you're, you know, selling this product again and again, that Kickstarter is probably not the best place to use for that. But if this is a new line that they're creating, then certainly I think it makes a lot of sense for them to come back because they already have that built-in audience here. So.
Cassandra also asked, I heard that Kickstarter is also a great marketing tool, other than just raising money. Any comments on that?
I've heard this too. I've heard, like, people are always on Kickstarter looking for new projects, kind of thing, or looking for the next cool thing.
Totally, yeah. I think that it's hard to, like, disentangle those two things because there's marketing in the sense of, you know, you're searching through Google and, like, things are, like, popping up on the sidebars, and then there's, like, I think what we would call more storytelling and, you know, building awareness and building a community around a project, and those are two different things. So I think that if you are you know, a small business that is, you know, growing and you're, again, like, very much in line with, like, the communities that are on Maker's Row, then Kickstarter is a great place to be building that list. Yeah.
So Avi Levine, who's actually been a guest on Maker's Row,
Hi.
is curious to know what happens when someone raises money on Kickstarter but does not deliver the product.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I would encourage him to read our terms of use, which we just updated in 2014 to make them super clear around this issue. And it lists out specific things that creators should do in the event that they can't deliver their rewards. The main thing that we expect, though, is transparency. You should be communicating well in advance of any obstacles that you're reaching. That way, if something like this does happen, it's not a huge surprise to your community.
Yeah.
There was actually an independent research study on this very subject late last year, by a professor named Ethan Malik, and he actually found that only 9% of projects on Kickstarter run into this situation. But it is something that we're always looking out for, and it's something that we want to help creators work through. So whether that's communicating transparently from the beginning, or, you know, pairing with some of the people on our resources page, which lists out manufacturers and fulfillment services that people can work with. We're always thinking of new ways to help this issue.
Yeah.
And Trent Wall asks, what are the top 3 things we should do to get to Kickstarter's Project Speed Love status?
Oh, I can answer this because we have a blog post on this very subject. So number 1, have a super awesome, unique, crisp project image. Usually we look for things that don't have any text, that we've never seen before, that just really stand out on the web. Why is this important? Because when you share your project, this is the first thing that people are going to see on Kickstarter and on social media. So super important. Second that we've talked about a lot is a great project video. And one, not only is this an opportunity for you to talk about your idea and show it to people, which you should do, it's also an opportunity for you to make a personal connection with your community. You should be in the video. You should be explaining why you're excited about this. And if we can see that, it also gets us pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3, drum roll, I'm not sure.
Setting an example for the community. I think that, we're always looking for creators not just to be great at talking about their project, but be like setting an example of what it means to be in this community. This is a huge relationship that we're like constantly trying to help support and develop, the relationship
Mm-hmm.
between creators and backers. And so anyone that's running a project that's doing an awesome job at transparency, we keep talking about this point again, it's super important, or posting a great update, or doing a live video broadcast of their studio, things like that are really raising the bar for what it means to be a creator on Kickstarter. And I think that's something that we always look to highlight.
So projects that you guys love, does it get flagged within like the first 24 hours that it's live, and then you guys hand select which ones they are? How does that work?
So there's a feed of projects that are a set of people at Kickstarter looks through every day, but a project can be project we loved at any time during its campaign. So not necessarily the first day. And it gets like this little badge that says projects we love, and we send a nice email that says you've been picked, and sometimes we mention the projects on Twitter or in a newsletter. We highlight projects in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any more questions?
I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So thank you guys again. I have one more question though.
Yeah, totally.
What are some new features or like some tools that if you are about to start a Kickstarter, a campaign, that people can just really like take advantage of on your site?
I'm so excited about this question because I just wrote a blog post about some new tools. So things we just launched this week is a custom referrals tag feature. And this is exciting because you can basically add a tag on the end of the link of your project and track how many people are clicking on that and becoming backers. The reason that this is important is because it allows creators running smaller projects to track how their promotion efforts are going. So you don't necessarily need to hire a marketing campaign or someone else to help you with this. You can now do it yourself and see if your Facebook copy is working better than your Twitter copy is working better than your email copy. So hopefully everyone uses this. We also launched the ability to schedule rewards. So let's say you only want a reward to be available on the first day of your campaign. You can create a little bit more excitement around it for your backers by setting a deadline for it, which is something a lot of people have asked us for over the years.
Yeah. So basically, if you are going back to that list that we keep talking about, this community that you developed before you're launching this campaign, say you are able to really motivate that audience by saying, if you back within the first 24 hours, this reward will be available. After that, it will no longer be available. So just a nice way to schedule a reward and also handle that kind of motivation.
Create something a little bit exclusive for the people who've been supporting you from the get-go. Some other really cool features. The collaborators tool really enables teams of creators to work together really well. So this grants your teammates the access to post comments, post updates, help with managing tools like our survey tool. So this is one that we rolled out earlier this year. And we're also in the midst of testing a live streaming feature with a lot of creators. So if you follow Kickstarter on Twitter, you'll see us promoting a lot of these, and we're looking to roll this out to more people very soon.
Awesome. And we usually do like a variety hour, and we have like our rapid fire questions, but I'm going to ask you each this question.
Okay.
What has been the most memorable project that you guys have seen, or the most memorable like creator, and just kind of give us why?
I can go first.
Yeah, sure. Go.
For me, the most memorable creator and project is Adam J.K.'s Unsolicited Advice Planner. He actually is a repeat creator. He's running his 5th project right now. And it's just memorable to me, A, because I love planners. I don't know why, but I don't know. There's something just very approachable to me about his work. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him a few times, and he's just a really down-to-earth, motivating, friendly person. And to me, he's kind of like an internet celebrity, but whenever I meet him, he just seems so humble, and I just like talk him up to boost his confidence. But
you're a fan. Sarah,
I'm a fan. But like people like that just like remind me that I could launch a project one day. You know, like I don't have to run something that has a $100,000 goal or that's producing this huge run of manufactured goods. I can make a sticker or a planner, or I have a secret project in the works that I'm not going to say. But people like Adam really inspire a lot, I think.
Cool.
How about you?
Yeah, one of my favorite projects this past year actually, I think is close to home for this community. It was called Wovens.